When you're collecting fragrances, you often find note breakdowns that are a little bit tricky to interpret. You see many notes working together, and sometimes you just want to know what one note does on its own, how it smells. In today's video, I kind of want to help you guys with that by exploring 8 different fragrances for 8 different notes that are the main characters of each of these DNAs. That kind of lets you get down and dirty with the notes, really get to learn it, see what it's all about. It is the main star of each of these fragrances, so hopefully your nose adapts, learns more, gets better, so you can appreciate different fragrances more. Unfortunately, some of these fragrances are expensive, but I do think they are the best way to get into certain notes and start learning about them in a very profound way. If you guys don't know, we have our own fragrance brand called Atrium, where we are trying to introduce and explore new creative ideas in men's perfumery. You can get a well-rounded collection in one purchase through acquiring our discovery set of our Curiosity collection, which is now available. Use the link in the description down below. First off, let's start with a note of cardamom. We're going to go with YSL's the original Nuit de l'Homme. Cardamom is actually quite an interesting spicy note. A lot of people who are into perfumes might think this is a very easy note to work with initially on its own. I actually did buy it for my dabbling in perfumery when I did those videos back in the day, guys. By the way, guys, let me know in the comments down below, do you want to see the bedroom perfumery series return? I'm kind of considering it. Let us know what you want to see in the future. Cardamom, though, is not as romantic and warm as a lot of people think it is on its own. It's associated with that because often it's used in perfumery with woody ambers to make a romantic, warm effect, but it's actually quite dirty, earthy, and of course spicy on its own. If you cook with cardamom, you probably know what I mean anyways. So cardamom, I would say, is earthy, spicy, woody, a little bit warm, a little bit inviting, and it pairs well with other notes rather than being on its own. But it's definitely the star of the show, La Nuit de l'Homme, a sexy, woody amber cardamom fragrance with a bit of balance from the woods and the lavender. It's one of the sexiest date night fragrances out there that does not perform very well, but it's famous in the community for being a cardamom heavy scent. So if you want to learn about this note, this spicy note, which is iconic, a great note in men's perfumery, if you want to smell romantic, look out for cardamom in fragrances in general. Other examples include Le Mal de Parfum, the one Eau de Parfum, Layton, etc., etc. So this is a great note worth learning about, and this is a great fragrance to do so. 37.9% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys really want to see our channel grow, go ahead and click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. The note of iris. I'm going with a classic Dior Homme Intense. There are a lot of evening iris scents out there, but I'm going to recommend Dior Homme Intense. Even though it's not necessarily a fragrance to my taste, I don't really reach for this myself, I still give this a 10 out of 10. This is iconic, this is a classic. I feel like this is the quintessential iris fragrance. Iris is a floral note that smells very powdery, floral, quite, let's say, makeup-y. If you use it in the wrong way, it can smell quite feminine, but in Dior Homme Intense, they make it quite masculine, chocolatey, warm, ambery, and inviting. This is a great way to get into the powderiness of iris. It's kind of its own world in itself with how powdery it is. You get a clean iris scent like Prada L'Homme, you get a darker scent like Gentleman Reserve Privée or Dior Homme Intense, of course. It's a very interesting scent family that you kind of either love or you don't. So usually you can try and find an iris scent in a designer outlet store and try it out first in person before you go all in, because it can be a bit of a polarizing note. But if you want it to be the star of the show, get Dior Homme Intense. This is a masterpiece as well anyways. The note of leather, of course, we have to go with Tom Ford's Ombré leather. The original, where leather really is the main star of the show. When you get to the other flankers like the Eau d'Ombré leather, that becomes less about leather at that point because a bit of a weird mishmash of other things, although that is a good scent in fairness. But Ombré leather, the original, is iconic. This is a great beginner leather fragrance. And leather itself, though, as a note, is not very beginner friendly. Again, it's a love or hate relationship. Leather, of course, smells a bit animalic. It smells like leather, like think of the brand new interior of a luxury car. You can get very masculine scent profiles from leather. Think of fragrances like Fahrenheit or Tuscan leather, of course, as well as Bentley for Men Intense. They create quite a deep, rich, animalic, smoky, leathery effect with that leather note in there. But in Ombré leather is quite smooth, more luxurious, balanced out, but it's definitely still the star of the show. Tuscan leather is like its older brother that's just more intense and more tricky to wear. Ombré leather is just more simplified, very easy, and it pretty much tells you straight away. If you like this fragrance, you're gonna like leather scents. If you don't, you're not gonna like them. But this is a great way to get into the note. The note of chocolate, Guerlain's L'Instant de Guerlain Eau de Parfum. Now, chocolate is either a gourmand note where it smells edible, think of fragrances like Chocolate Greedy by Montal, which smells like a Kinder Bueno in my opinion, or it's more like a cocoa powder note, like Dior original or the original formulation has it. This has it. This is like a star anise licorice-esque kind of fragrance with a chocolatey, woody, ambery effect. It's a sexy, spicy, woody amber DNA. One of the best to do it. This is a 10 out of 10 in my opinion, by the way. I just feel like this is a very cacao powder friendly fragrance that is just super sexy. It kind of makes you see how a playful note like chocolate can be very interesting and very appealing to wear as a fragrance. And it never feels weird, like a weird gourmand that's impractical to wear, like chocolate greedy. This is balanced, practical, beautiful art in a bottle. And plus it gets you into the brand of Guerlain, one of the best to do it as well in general. You'll often see the note of Tonka Bean. What is this note all about? You can learn about it through Allure, Homme Sport or Extreme. Another alternative to this could be the original Labo by Jean-Paul Gaultier. That's more simplified. Tonka Bean is a main star in both of these fragrances. Tonka Bean kind of gives this sweet, musky marzipan effect on its own. The majority of Tonka notes in perfumery in the designer realm use coumarin, which is like a part of the Tonka Bean. It's like a chemical isolated from that original bean, but coumarin gives the main smell of Tonka Bean. It gives you that scent profile. The marzipan effect is a bit creamy, often gives a creamy texture to a fragrance. I would say Allure Homme Sport Eau Extreme is creamy. Creamy, musky, mandarin, and mint is how I would describe this. This is a very elegant, sporty fragrance that has so much balance. You can wear this day and night in all 4 seasons. So even though it's not my favorite fragrance, I still give this a 10 out of 10 as well. It's not to my taste personally, but it's a great way to learn about Tonka Bean. It's a great fragrance to have in your collection. Plus, most people are going to explore this fragrance. It's talked about so much in the community. It's pretty cool and unique in its own right. So it's still a great fragrance to check out, and it has that Tonka Bean definitely done in a very classy way. It's not annoying, weird, or overly synthetic. If you go too high in Tonka Bean and fragrances like Tonka Cola, for example, in Mancera, that's a bit of a tricky Tonka note. This is more creamy, more smooth, easier to understand. The note of Cedar Wood, which is an important woody note that gives a lot of structure and longevity to fragrances. I'm not holding it in my hand, pretend I'm holding it, but Santal 33 is a fragrance I'm going to recommend, which might be confusing based on its name. It's called Santal 33. It does have sandalwood in its note breakdown, but I think it's more actually of a Virginian cedarwood scent. Virginian cedarwood is a very dry, woody note, and that's kind of what cedarwood is all about. It's kind of like a clean, dry, woody note. There's a little masculinity. DSQUARED green also is a classic cedarwood fragrance that's a bit more simple. But Santal 33 is a bit of a classic because it's it's kind of just very popular, but also it's a little bit polarizing. I don't like it personally. It kind of smells like dry pencil shavings mixed with some dill pickle juice. Not the biggest fan of that for obvious reasons, but some people love it. Maybe it just depends on your skin, but cedarwood is a very important note. Longevity, as I said, structure to a fragrance, woodiness. It can smell quite masculine, dry and clean. So you will see it a lot in a lot of different perfumes. It's good to understand how it smells on its own, and Santal 33 can really help with that because it's really used in high doses in my opinion. For the note of coffee, we've got here Xerjoff's Golden Dallah. Back in the day, I may have recommended Ralph Lauren's Polo Red Extreme, but sadly that is discontinued. This is pricey, although you can find it at a very good price at online discounters. This gives you a great coffee scent that isn't gourmand. Again, it's more practical to wear, kind of similar to Linson de Guerlain when I was mentioning how this is balanced, practical to wear. This is spicy black coffee, I would say. This is like a very high quality roasted coffee beans. That's the kind of scent you're getting from this fragrance. You're not getting a latte effect. This is intense roasted coffee with spices, woods and ambers, and a bit of an oud note in there as well to make it a bit more intense and luxurious. I think this is one of the greatest Xerjoff fragrances in the brand, a little bit underrated in general. I may have to get a full bottle. For the people who love coffee, you might want to just get this as a signature, but also this is great to just learn about how coffee is used in perfumery. It's not a note that's often used well, in my opinion. Again, similar to chocolate, it can be gourmand, like in fragrances like Amore Cafe, or it can be quite balanced in fragrances like Golden Dallah or something like, let's say, Dolce & Gabbana's Q, or no, what's the new one that's called Devotion? Sorry, the Q is the women's fragrance, Devotion, pour Homme, that's the new coffee scent. It's a little more simplified though, it's a little bit forgettable. I feel like this is a lot more interesting, a little more artistic. And lastly, you'll see a lot of ambery notes in a lot of fragrances. What is amber? Amber is not even actually a real material in perfumery. It's always often made by other notes that kind of exist in the same universe. I'll tell you what I mean in a second. Or it's actually a fantasy accord made with 3 ingredients. A classic amber that really focuses on the accord is MFK's Grand Soir. As I said, amber is traditionally an accord of 3 notes, although it varies as well depending on the perfumer, how they make their own amber accord, but it's usually labdanum, which is an ambery, intensely sweet, balsamic, floral, and then there's also vanilla, and then usually some kind of musk. So those kind of 3 notes come together to make this amber fantasy accord. How you see amber resin, think of that as a scent. That's kind of what perfumers do and create with this note. It's more balanced for a sweet note in perfumery compared to something like vanilla, which smells very intense and edible. This is more of a balanced, airy, luxurious sweetness you get from ambery notes, more of a glow, I will say. It's a bit of a strange way to describe it, but you know, guys, it's a bit tricky to describe scents in general. Amber, though, can also be made by other notes in perfumery, and often you'll see people refer to amber fragrance notes as being balsamic. Balsamic kind of just means warm, ambery, all kind of in the same family, but each material kind of produces a different effect in the amber family. It's a bit complex, of course. Amberous produces an ambery note. Other resins as well produce it, such as myrrh or a popanax. Labdanum gives an ambery effect as well, in my opinion. Benzoin. There's a lot of different ways to make an amber accord, as well as just lots of different balsamic notes in perfumery. Grand Soir kind of simplifies things. It's very high quality amber with vanilla. That's kind of all it is. It kind of is a little bit balanced out with the lavender in there as well. It's not too intense. It's just a beautiful, strong, beastly amber and vanilla. It is like the bottle looks, and as the name suggests, a great evening scent that smells like quality. It's not too complex, and if you want to just experience a really high quality amber accord, this is a great place to start. That concludes this video, guys. Did you find it useful or not? Did I get the concept across like I wanted it to? I know that some of these fragrances are quite pricey. Of course, if you don't want to spend this kind of price tag, you can just go to sample these fragrances, or you can get a more affordable alternative. Let's say if you don't want to spend the money on Grand Soir, you can get something like Dolce & Gabbana's the one, Eau de Parfum, that obviously has amber as quite a prominent aspect of it also. Let me know, guys, do you think I missed some prominent notes that you'd like to see me include in another part of this series? And do you feel like I'm actually not using the best examples possible for each of these notes? Maybe you would have said something differently. Let us know in the comments down below, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you check out my recent reaction video to Emma Perfumerism, who talks a lot about perfumery terminology, where you can learn a lot through this video also. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next one. Bye.